Hey guys, Sunday, May 4th, 2025. I got a question from an interesting person. I guess that's following my YouTube on my comments section. So I'm going to read this out to you. I didn't answer him because I figured I could do it on a video. I thought it was pretty interesting. It's pretty much from Chuck Hogler. He says, "Thank you for your continued analysis. In the spirit of cycles, repeating, rhyming, and back to the start of 2002 and up to mid-July of 2002, I am seeing some similarities. So from mid-May to mid-July 2002, I'm seeing something very similar with the wave counts 1 through 3. He's referring to the Elliott wave. This to me looks very similar to the recent dates of 310.25 large wicker upper wicks, 424 2025 with the wave 1 through 3 so far. Now, working on the wave 4, like back in 2002, from the 712 to 724, 2002, is this rhyming? Do we complete a wave 4 soon, like back in 2002, and then complete a wave 5, as you have mentioned? If so, does that gas then run higher, just like in 2002 for 3 weeks? Have a mild pullback, then run higher once again, essentially continuing the same price action the last 4 months of 2002, and then into February 24th of 2003, with that single day stretched FOMO blow off top. Then, since it was so far stretched and sitting around its 3.0 standard deviation Bollinger Band return back down to much more reasonable levels within 35 to 40 calendar days. Do we get a blow off top like in 2003, sometimes around the top of the daily market cycles? Daily market cycle top, as mentioned, November, December 2025. Something I'm paying attention. I think he's referring to weekly. Paying attention paying attention to in the ways of opportunities and entry exits. Would enjoy hearing your thoughts. Okay, so Chuck, I went ahead and copied your. I went ahead and copied your question and put it on ChatGPT. And this is what ChatGPT said. You're noticing strong similarities between the current market action, particularly natural gas, and the price patterns from mid-May to mid-July 2002, specifically in the wave structure waves 1 through 3. You suggest we may be in a wave 4 phase, similar to the July 12 through 24, 2002 period. If the pattern continues, a wave 5 could follow. So, like right where we're at right now, around 364, could be our wave 4. And if wave 5 is going to push lower, he's assuming possibly leading to a strong rally natural gas and a mild pullback and another leg up, much like the price action seen in the late 2002 through early 2003, culminating in a FOMO blow-off top around February the 24th of 2003. You're questioning whether we might see a similar blow-off top later this year, November, December 2025. Are you watching these cycles for potential trading opportunities and timing entry and exits? So he's talking about July between the 12th and the 24th, and then the blow off top around February the 24th, 2003. I'm assuming he's thinking the November 2005 cycle high could be correlated to the February 24, 2003 high. And that we're in this wave structure in the July 12th to the 24th of a wave 4. And then we got one more leg lower if it's going to play out, if the wave 5 plays out. All right, so I got his question. So let's go to 2000. Let's do this together. Let's see if we could zoom in here. Push this out. So we established this is the February blow off top around 2024. And he's talking about July and May. So it's May. I'm assuming he's thinking this is where we have our March 10th high of 490. And then we're pulling in. And that's somewhere around here. This is our wave 3 of April. Trying to get these dates confused. We have 425. That's our low of 286. And that we could rally. We're kind of somewhere around here where we at currently. And then we have this one more leg down, which would be our wave 5. So if this happens, he's assuming maybe there's a potential pattern that if we sell off from where we're at now, because we're on a possible wave 4, and if this plays out, he's assuming, or, maybe using probabilities that maybe this could come out and be in conjunction with the spectrum cycle November peak, that one of the spectrum cycles that I'm using peaks around November of this year. So he's guessing that maybe this could probably play out. So a couple of things, now that we kind of got the question, we kind of looking at the years and all that. I'll start off with this. Okay, so now we got that. So March 10th high, we're here. This is our April 24 low of 286. And we're somewhere maybe here, and we got one more leg down. So maybe this week or in April, we push lower, May, and then maybe this could probably play out going forward. So now let's go to where we're at now and just kind of dissect this. So let's move this over here. Yeah, this is good right here. So the software is assuming, my Elliott wave software is assuming that this is a wave 5. And that we have a 1, 2, 3, and that we are now working on a wave 4, and that a wave 5 is somewhere in this ballpark. Above $2, obviously, but somewhere between 391 and 225. Somewhere around here, there's a wave 5 coming, if it plays out. And then from here, then rally into November. So let's see, how can I phrase this well? Let's start off with the weekly cycle, spectrum cycle analysis. There's one that I'm watching that peaks in November of this year. November. So this is the time frame. Somewhere around here in November, there's a weekly cycle that peaks and then it starts going down. So if this is a wave 4 and it goes down, eventually we're going to rally and end it in November. He's assuming that could be the blow off top that February 24 of 2003 played out. So he's looking at the price pattern playing out that way. That's very possible. So in my analysis, I am watching for November. And there's a bigger time frame that using, I believe it's 20 years worth of data that indicates that there is a bigger peak that is coming, that is past November. That one leads you to April of 2026. So to make it simple, just keep an eye out for November, possible high on the weekly, and April. If anything, that's the two things you need to know. November in April. I don't know from here how this is all going to play out, if it's going to do a blow off top in November or somehow in April. But whatever plays out here in this time frame, you want to keep an eye out November, April. The one I'm watching right now is just November. But if it continues going sideways, higher, or whatever, then I'll be watching April. Now, in regards to the daily spectrum cycle analysis, there are two cycles that I'm watching. One is bearish. The difference between the weekly and the daily spectrum cycle is that the weekly has two that are bullish, that peak, that are important, in my opinion. The daily is mixed. There's two. One is bearish into August. So keep an eye in August for a possible low or a turning point. It doesn't have to be August. It could just be in that ballpark. So it could be July and it could be in September. This is the midpoint. This is where it turns. But sometimes it comes early, sometimes it comes late. So always remember that. Same thing with November. It could turn in October or it could turn in December. Just look at it as a bell curve. The bell curve hits in November. And then you got your midpoint, which is your 50. You got your, your 25, 75, and whatnot. So look at it as a bell curve. The same thing with April. So now if you understand that concept, you're not like stuck. But know, in your hearts of hearts that April is the midpoint. That's just where it physically turns. The cycle physically has a peak and then it turns. But markets don't just, sometimes it happens. It hits it exactly and then turns, but sometimes, it turns ahead. So now that you know that on the daily spectrum cycle, there's a cycle that bottoms in August. Also, there is a cycle that I'm watching that peaks in July. So we have an inverse situation here. You have one that bottoms in August, and we have one that peaks in July. So how can we use that to give us an understanding of what could possibly play out in the daily time frame? On the daily time frame, if we're going to have a bottom in August, and if that plays out, we're using probabilities, and this is a wave 3 to wave 4, chances are it could probably sideways to lower into August and then rally. So if it does rally, it could rally into the November weekly cycle here, or it could continue rallying and go into the April weekly cycle that peaks here. So that's how I'm looking at it. If we, sell off. And that means it doesn't have to be August. It could be July. It could be September. But somewhere in this ballpark, there's that wave 5. Then rally into November or April. Now that you know the two time frames that I'm watching for the weekly cycles. Now, how can we make on this July peak? Problem is that we don't know where the cycle is going to follow. Is it going to follow the August low and then turn from here? Or this was just an ABC correction and we're going to push higher into July and then turn. So that's the question. The $1 million question is from here, what's going to play out? Low into August, rally here into July, and turn. Once that one of these two scenarios could play out, and then we have to adjust what's going to happen then. And I'm sure this count is all going to adjust. But as of right now, this is a wave 3, is a wave 4. Wave 3 to wave 4 is going to get validated if we sell off this week or this month of May into June. But then that goes against, the demand in the summer and all that, which, I could kind of see it maybe, continuing maybe from here into May, June, even July, because it makes sense with the spectrum cycle peaking here. So now that we established that, the important things on the daily is July for peaks, and on the daily bottoms in August. Now thinking off the top of my head, August is a strong seasonality month, so it's going inverse of that. So that's something interesting. So now let's look at similarities. Now that we got that established. Oops. Close that here. Why is it doing that? Close that over here. Put that over here. Let's put it this way. So in regards to similarities, I have no filters. It's showing, let's see. Here is 2021. And it shows here 2021 price action. Kind of peaked here, pushing lower. Here, it just kind of consolidated where we had this rally. And then from May 10th, rally into October, which makes sense if we were to use our weekly spectrum cycle. That could possibly be playing out. So this is our wave 3, wave 4. I mean, if this was to play out, push down, and then wave 5 coming up. So this was all a big wave 4 into a wave 5. That's a visit to play out. And this is with no filters. Using the 2008 price action, look at that. That's kind of interesting. But this is just speculating. It peaked at 20, and then this thing just sells off. So, it doesn't make sense because spectrum cycles are showing peaks in November, in April, and it's pretty much inverse, especially on the 2026 is the opposite of what the spectrum cycle is indicating from the 2008 price action. But it's always good to be aware of these things. 2003 price action, it pushes to August. So there is similarity there in regards to the daily spectrum cycle, showing that we bottom in August, but then you get this rally, and it just comes choppy here. 97, I don't see anything there. Well, there's that July daily spectrum cycle peaks here. Then it pulls back. It's interesting to see, just using these 4 with no filters is showing interesting things on months that I'm watching. So this is July, August, November, and April. 2000. Pull back, and then from May, rally into June, and then sell off into April. 2022, we hit a low here, we hit a peak here, and then down, up, then down. July. So let's do a filter of similar years. So 96, we put a higher on March. Actually, we did March 10th. Over here, we did it on the February 20th, and then it pulled back into July, and then you get this rally into October. That was a nice 96 price. So similar years in regards to price action. 2003, this is where Chuck was talking about. But here is kind of shifted it a little bit. So Chuck's, he was talking about the high of February 24. It's thinking that it's the high of March 10th. So very different the way the system is calculating this. And is using that year time frame that he's talking about for May 28th going high and then pushing into, but definitely not in the same similarity that he's viewing it, but he's viewing that March 10th high as the February 24th, 2003 high. So far, it hasn't really, it did pull back, but then it inverted here. And then you get a peak into the 29th. So can it rally into the 29th? We got to see. Since he brought up this year pattern. Go to 2008. Move this over here so you can see the price action. Just talking about June. And then this big sell off. Let's go to 97. 2010. 13. 14. So the lower you go, the weaker it kind of gets, but the higher, stronger ones are probably the ones from the top three. And that one came in 2003. Interesting. Oops. So let's go to similar months. 94. Wow, we're going way back. Nothing here. I see similar, but you do see the the daily spectrum cycle bottoming out here into August. But then it consolidates and then it ignores the November weekly cycle peak. But it takes you all the way to February. The weekly cycle peaks in April. This is 2019. And this one bottoms out around July. Really there or interesting. Then the 96. Actually, what we're really focusing on is on the monthly. So that's, I think, what it is. I'm looking at all the other stuff, but it's just for the month of April or May. Which may not be good. Well, let's see. May, yeah. So May probably peak around the 14th and then go down. That's a 94 price action. And for May 16, and then continue going lower. So yeah, it could be very possible that these little time frames for the month of May, these are May 23rd. So you got May 23rd. You got also the 16th. And you got the 14th where it peaks and then it just pulls back. Let's look at 2009. Right there, the 14th. Look at 2012. That was the 21st. So this is something to think about it. Let me look at my cycles that I watch. This is a solar cycle, so 17th. That's a Saturday, so keep an eye out for Friday. This thing could continue pushing higher. These are other cycles that I'm watching, and these continue. They didn't work here because it bottomed around April 7th, and then it's rallying, but it peaks around June the 2nd. This one kind of went sideways, so this one didn't really work out. This one looks like an inverse from the high, and it rallied. It's now in this rally, so it pulls back. May 14th. And this one pulls back into June. June. Looking at our annual, decimal, midpoint, and annual decimal, you see that they all peak around May 5th, 15, 14. So this thing has legs to continue going higher. This is the annual 1 year. This is 3 years. This is 6 years. And this is 10 years. So it could continue pushing higher. And then there's a pullback into, I guess, the end of May. Maybe we could get him into July. And lastly, this is a Gann technique to look at 10 years in the past of price action. And so far, this one worked out. It's 10 years ago. We rallied on the 27th, but we peaked on the 19th. If you were to follow the Gann theory, you want to be very cautious around that week. Or this, you could say the 16th, because it rallies on the 18th. It could be a blow off top on the Sunday night open, and then turn. He also said to look at 20 years ago price action. So it peaked here, and then this price action bottoms out around the end of May. Then you get this explosion up here. So I don't know if this is going to be our wave 5 and then get this rally. So if it's that rally, I mean, it got wild in 20 years ago. Look at that. That peaks around November. So it's in that ballpark of that November spectrum cycle weekly top that I'm watching. It peaks around November, but like I said, it could probably play out into December, and then this happens. So those are the things I'll be also watching once we start getting closer to this, especially if we get this rally like that. This could probably play out. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you the little things that I watched, the scenarios, and I thought Chuck's question was pretty good. Because in Gann's theory, it's kind of all related. Also with Elliott wave, it's just I'm combining two theories or techniques and seeing the pros and cons in my research and writing them down, and then also analyzing what has more of a better edge. So right now, close this up. Look at the price action. Is the wave 5 coming now and then really rock and roll? Or from here, we rock and roll and then turn? That's factoring, fundamentals and weather and all that. So that's the question. If you're an Elliott guy, then your question is a wave 5 coming? Or if this was an ABC. If you're a spectrum cycles guy, you're going to be like, okay, is it July that we peak? Or is it going to be that we bottom out in August? And if you're looking at the bigger picture, is it November, long time frame where we peak, or is it going to be in April? So you got to have to kind of see what's happening here in order to determine clues into those 2 months into the future. And then you got to factor in geometry. Where are we at in regards to geometry? I know we're kind of now back in the interest pitchfork. I know we are below the 1 by 1, and we are below the Kumo cloud on the daily, but we're still holding the weekly. So it's like a lot of things, and we got Trump in the house. So it's all these things, all these moving parts you got to have to kind of figure out. But anyway, I wanted to answer Chuck. Very interesting. Um, let's see how it plays out. I think this week is going to give us clues, even if we have a gap up or in regards to Gann's theory, a gap up could be an explosion higher and then could go down. So I'm not too concerned about the gap up, but there's something that's happening this week that has the potential for that to happen. And the question is, will it pull back to fill the gap and continue down? Or are they going to push it up? And if they are, if you see that kind of price action, then the daily spectrum cycle peaks around July. So that could probably be, something is going to be following. But if it doesn't go up, there's no gap up, or if it is and it pulls back, then and it starts selling off, then August could be where sideways to lower, where they, you got your wave 5, then we rally. Now and then, once that happens, whichever scenario, November you want to watch, and then April. That's it. I'm going to sign out. Hope you like this video. I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on that, guys.